Unless you are especially inquisitive, you may not have noticed a few finite details on many household objects. If you have, then you may have wondered what the purpose of these are. These small things may be easy to miss, and they can be easy to pass off as just decoration. From the little pockets found on your jeans to pom-poms on hats, they all had a purpose. You also may be surprised to hear that these overlooked details may even make your life easier. Here are 10 things you didn't know the use for. Do you know what that extra piece of fabric you find when you buy new clothes is for? You will see these attached to coats, shirts, and pants, and you most likely assume that these pieces of material are for patches. If you happen to tear your trousers, then simply stitch them up with the fabric. But you would be wrong. In fact, these samples are included by the manufacturer, so you can test how your garment will react to different laundry detergents. You can wash these scraps of cloth with washing powder or bleach to see if they'll shrink or color bleed. This is very handy to know if you don't want to risk damaging your expensive new shirt. Just be sure not to throw it away in the future, because you'll have no one to blame but yourself when your trousers don't react well to your new detergent. Come winter, everybody will be wearing their woolly hats to protect their heads from the bitter cold. On top of most of these hats usually sit colorful little pom-poms. While you no doubt would have passed those little fuzzy balls of fabric off as a decoration, they actually used to serve a purpose. These puffs of thread actually have a very long and interesting history. So sit down and be quiet, because history class is in session. During the 18th century, the French military would adorn them for protection against low ceilings of ship cabins. The extra padding of material would soften the blow if their heads came in contact with the hard metal ceiling. This is also where we got the name pom-poms, which comes from the French word pompon. Not only did these pom-poms protect your noggin from a bruising, they were also used to distinguish the military uniform of Napoleon's infantry, where their color denoted the company to which the man belonged. Green for the first company, light blue for the second, orange for the third, and violet for the fourth. So not only do those little puffy pieces serve a historic purpose, they also look fabulous sitting on top of your head. When we were younger, there was nothing we enjoyed better than chewing on the lid of our ballpoint pens, and I'm sure some of you are guilty of this even to this day. However, when you're munching on this small piece of plastic, it's easy for it to get swallowed. Due to its small size, it can get lodged in the windpipe and choke you to death. This is a bigger problem than you may think, as it is reported that around 100 people every year in the United States reportedly choke to death on pen lids. This is why there is a hole in the cap of a ballpoint pen. In the event that the cap is swallowed, the hole ensures the airway isn't blocked, allowing air to get through. The hole complies with international safety standards to minimize the risk of children choking. This small hole hopefully prevents suffocation and has saved hundreds of lives. Despite all of this, we would recommend that you quit your uncontrollable pen chewing habit, just in case. While we're on the subject of children swallowing small plastic objects, let's discuss lollipop sticks. Once you had finished crunching your Chupa Chup lollipop, you would notice a small hole on the plastic stick. As a child, you may have thought that this hole turned the stick into a whistle. You would have spent countless futile hours blowing into the stick, trying to get a tune out of it. But we're sorry to say that you wasted your time and breath. When the candy is formed and first applied onto the plastic stick, it starts to melt into the hole. Once it sinks into the hole, it then hardens. This keeps the lollipop held tightly on the stick. As it's stuck both inside and out, it ensures that your hard piece of candy doesn't fall off, either on the floor or into your mouth. Also, just like the pen cap, it provides another vent in the case that it is swallowed. This hole would hopefully provide enough airflow to allow time for it to be removed. Have you ever wanted to measure a wall or floor but couldn't as there was no one else there to hold the other end of the measuring tape? Well, it turns out you didn't need a helping hand the entire time. There is a little hole found on the bottom of measuring tape. This is actually used to hook onto nails and screws. The nail fits snugly into the hole, meaning you can get a more accurate measurement without calling over a friend for assistance. Another interesting detail that may make your measuring life easier is that the metal serrated edge can be used to mark distances. This bumpy tool can be used to scratch an indent into the wall to mark a spot. This is especially handy if you don't have a pencil at hand, so instead you can press this edge into your workpiece and make a mark. One final piece of measuring tape trivia is that the plastic or metal case that holds the tape can also be used to measure distance itself. The cases have a number on it which indicates the exact length of its base, just in case you run out of tape and need a few centimeters more. Now that you have all this expert knowledge of measuring, you can go and build your own house all by yourself. Who would have thought that even kitchen tools frequently have hidden uses? On pretty much every pot and pan there is a small hole on the handle. You may hang your cookware up on the wall using these holes. However, that hole can be more than just a hook. Have you ever been cooking spaghetti or pancakes and wondered where to put your messy spoon or spatula? You can also rest it on a clean plate, board, or kitchen surface, but that just gives you another thing to wash up. You can instead rest your utensils in the hole in the handle. Your spoon will be propped over the pot or pan, so any excess spillage will drop into your pan. This is also useful if you are used to leaving plastic utensils in your pot, where they may melt and cause a foul burnt odor. While we're talking about cooking utensils, have you noticed a hole in your pasta server? Also known as a pasta spoon, it is used to stir and serve pasta noodles. While it is easy to assume that this hole drains away excess water, it is actually designed to hold one serving of pasta. This hole fits one perfect measurement of dry noodles, so you don't need to throw in large handfuls of spaghetti noodles into a boiling pot of water. While cooking spaghetti, it can be confusing figuring out how much is too much, but now that you know this trick, you will never have to waste pasta again. Have you ever wondered about that small pocket found above your larger jeans pocket? You may have used this extra pocket to store your loose change, lipstick, or even perhaps your gum, but due to its petite size, it isn't much use for anything else. So what is its purpose? Well, back in the 1800s, when cowboys galloped the open plains and rustled up cows, jeans were a very popular item of clothing. This is because the material could withstand time and the elements. They didn't show dirt well, and they didn't need to be washed too often. During this time, a very common fashion accessory were pocket watches. These watches would be attached to long chains and would usually be kept in waistcoat pockets. However, waistcoats weren't always practical for cowboys, miners, farmers, and factory workers. So jeans manufacturer Levi created these small pouches to hold these pocket watches. The tiny pockets were the perfect size to store these watches without them getting damaged, and the tiny pockets have remained to this day. Also on the pockets are small metal studs. These studs are actually called rivets, and they're not just for decoration. There's also a piece of interesting history behind these as well. In the 1800s, gold rush miners and cowboys led a vigorous life, laboring in harsh environments. As we mentioned previously, jeans were the chosen piece of clothing. However, despite their durability, they would constantly tear. So metal rivets were installed to fasten the pockets in the jeans together. This copper stud prevented rips and strengthened the jeans. When we were younger, we were led to believe that the blue or sometimes gray part of the rubber was to erase pen mistakes. However, all this did was smudge our writing and would tear your paper. So instead of just erasing your ink, it creates a hole in your paper, causing us no end of stress. However, the two sides are intended for papers of different weights and grains. The white or red side removes pencil mistakes on regular paper, but the blue side actually erases pencil on art and graphic papers. So it was only supposed to be used on thicker and rougher textures. If only we knew this back in school, it would have saved us so many headaches. At this point, you must be rolling your eyes and thinking that this one is obvious. The car headrest is to, well, rest your head. Yes, you would be right, but that isn't its only purpose. In the tragedy of a car accident, you may find yourself trapped in the car as it slowly submerges to the depths of a lake. But the headrest could save your life. If your car is sinking and you cannot open the door and unwind the windows, this may be your last hope. Remove the headrest and place one of the two metal rods between the window and the door, and insert it into the car. The window is weakest on one of the bottom two edges, so insert it there. Once inside, pull the headrest toward you, and the window should shatter. If all else fails, you can use the metal rod as a blunt object to break the windows. On any Apple earphones, there are 3 holes. But what are all of these holes for? Yes, you know that the largest hole is the speaker, but what about the other 2? These holes are not just for decoration and actually have a use. These holes are for speaker diaphragm movement, meaning they improve acoustics and keep the headphones in place. The holes create an airtight seal with your ear canal by allowing small amounts of air through the seal. It gives your earphones more mobility, so they don't constantly fall out, as well as delivering better acoustic performance. Not only that, but the vacuum also helps to stop any loud thumping sounds from the earphone cord hitting your chest as you move. So what other ordinary things contain hidden secrets? Let us know in the comments.